Hi, everybody. Just so you know, if you walk behind me, you get to be on camera. So, hi. Cool. Welcome. No, you're not on camera.
That's quite a case for you.
I know. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the North High School Principal Parent Feedback Meeting. It is February 18th. Yeah. February 18th, and we are broadcasting live, so thanks for joining us. We're going to get into the agenda right away this evening and start with the first agenda item. I'll put Becky on the spot right away. We're going to talk about the transition that really isn't a transition anymore. I'm going to introduce to you the new North High School principal, Becky Newcomer, and put her name and face on the camera and then just introduce. I think most of you here know her, but we'll just let her say as much as she wants, and I'll let you talk too about the associate principal process too,
Sure.
what we're going to go through for that, and then we'll go on to the next item. So,
I'm Becky Newcomer. This is my 18th year in the district. So this was my first. I worked in Waukesha my entire career, and I was at South for 14 years as an English teacher, and I was at Lindholm for 2 years as a coordinator, and I've been here. This is my third year here, so I'm just really excited to be here. I love North, and I just feel really fortunate to have worked with Jody and have her as my mentor. So I really see North on the same trajectory as what it has been on. So I'm really excited to just continue the work that's been started here over the past couple of years. Actually longer than that, much longer than that. But, so that's a little bit about me. My passion is around curriculum and instruction, and I really love getting into the classroom. So I'm excited to continue to do that work. With my English background, it's really fun for me to work within content literacy and really help teachers explore that within their classroom and reinforce that. And I feel like I have a lot of the skills to be able to do that across all content areas. I'm also really excited to get to know a broader spectrum of our students. As an AP, I don't necessarily get to see all of the students who are just excelling academically and doing a lot of involved in a lot of the things extracurricularly. I work with some at-risk students and students who just need a little bit more support and assistance sometimes. So I'm really excited to be able to jump into the Principals Advisory Committee with students. And on Monday, I went to the Youth Summit through CISA 1, and we were able to take a group of students and just see what their vision is for North, and then help be that advocate for their voice too, and really listen to what they have to say, which Jody has done a spectacular job doing. So I'm excited to continue that work. Do you have any questions for me?
come on, Driller.
I know her. I have this personally. I'm not from this area. I grew up in Iowa, so I'm from there. I'm a transplant. My husband graduated from Waukesha South, so he grew up around here. We have 3 children. My oldest is 8, and he was born in Guatemala, and my 2 daughters are biological. So we have, Brooke just turned 5. My baby is 3. She'll be 4 soon. So we have our hands full at home too. Steve is an elementary school principal in Greenfield. So we talk education all the time, but we love it. I mean, we have a date night coming up on Saturday, and I'm sure we will sit at Bartolotta's and talk about school, which it's fine. We love doing that. So that's what our life is, but it's good. It's really good.
Right. So I guess I just want to add, and then I know Becky will talk about the associate principal position, then sort of that hiring process. But I know last month when we met with many of you, we kind of skirted around the issue. I think we knew maybe at that time the transition was happening, and we said, you know, a transition would occur and this is how it would look. And I think the transition kind of happened fast and furious, and I haven't been here for a couple days, I don't think. I mean, I was here for a couple meetings in the morning, but like when I come to school every day now, it's not North High School. So it's definitely weird, but I need the parent community, and the school already knows, but the parent community to know that like Becky pretty much is the principal. Unless there's bad stuff happening, then I'll take it. And that's kind of what Todd's preface. Like if, you know, if there's still issues, Jody will take all the bad, but you know, I'll be at graduation kind of ceremoniously to see the class out, and you know, I'm in and out, but I'm definitely not here as much as I maybe thought I would be. So my central office position is where I'm at. Becky is, you know, the principal. We've hired a dean of students. We just hired Mr. Dale Van Kuren. He's been with you guys a couple times. If you know, he was our educator effectiveness coach, one of our tech integrators that applied. We had about 13 to 15 people apply for the dean position mid-year, and so we had an interview process, and he came out the top candidate. So we recommended him just last week to Human Resources, and so he started on Tuesday. And so what he's picking up is basically Becky's associate principal roles in terms of her alphabet. So what is it?
E through M.
Right. So E through M kids that are, you know, some discipline and truancy and tardiness issues, Dale will pick up so that she can obviously work in transition into her principal role in terms of master scheduling, getting into classroom staffing, all the things we're doing this spring, getting ready for next year. That kid piece will be picked up by Dale, and he'll be here, you know, to provide supervision and kind of fill in the team since I'm gone quite a bit. So I'll let Becky talk about then the process that we're going to start for the associate principal, which would be her full-time replacement for next school year. So she's just going to touch base about that.
If it's not posted already, it will be within the next, I'm guessing, 24 hours. For the associate principal position. So it will not be a dean position, it will be an associate principal position. And we are hoping, well, we're scheduled to have interviews on March 13th with a committee of our faculty, and also with, we'd like to have some students involved, possibly a couple of parent representatives somewhere in that process. So that's what we're looking at there. Looking for a strong instructional leader, strong with technology integration. Number one priority is listening to the students' voice and making sure that they're heard. So all of those things are going to continue to be important in our associate principal position.
Absolutely.
What do you kind of think about your kind of how to put your unique stamp on the principal position? Like, do you have a goal or a plan, or just something that, you know, Jody had, you know, everybody kind of has their own stamp, I guess if you want to call it. Do you have anything that you're hoping to accomplish?
I would really like to, I would like more, I shouldn't even say more, because we're on the path to student input a lot, and really that personalized learning journey started with Jody. I think as I continue through, you know, my career as the principal here, just to continue that voice and make sure that it's louder, and to encourage the students to be able to speak for what they need, and then be able to support it scheduling wise and programming wise. Jody has laid a very strong, solid foundation for that. We're reaching out and doing things in, you know, to hear students' voices through surveys, through some of the North Star Norms committee and those sorts of pieces. The youth summit was really wonderful on Monday, and just to have those 9 students to be able to come back and just, I really want to expand that particular team so that we can see what I really think about educating each student versus all students, and each student has his or her own need, and that doesn't always mean blended learning and use of technology all the time. That also means some students are a little bit more traditional, and we need to figure out exactly what each student needs in his or her education. We also have a huge responsibility to make sure that they are prepared for post-secondary, whatever it is that they want to do. So getting those plans at least laid early, freshman year, looking at learner profiles and really being able to spend some time with them, guiding them, getting them to be thinking about what they need as students so that they're prepared post-secondary. And I think we do have a lot of pieces in place with academic options, with some of our interventions, but tweaking those things, those don't work for every student either, and try to figure out how we can utilize our time within our schedule, our amazing faculty, to be able to build those relationships and get each student what he or she needs.
Question. Any questions, or, I mean, talk to Becky certainly if you're interested to be a part of the associate principal process. Sometimes associate principals kind of go under the radar. I mean, I was one for a couple years, so I get that. You're not at the head, you're not the head position, but they're such an integral part of the team that really, I mean, I imagine her leadership will function similar to mine in that no decision making happens like with Becky only. I mean, you're only as strong as your team is, and so it really takes the four of us and extended teacher leadership team to be able to do what we need to do here for kids. And so, if you have any input or what your look for is, why are you walking so like straight up? If you if you can't be a part of it that day, certainly give her, Becky, feedback in terms of your look fors, like what you would want to see in the next associate principal leader, because we value that. And so even if you go home and ask your kids too, she'll want to hear, just collect what they would want to see in their next AP here. So
This is the team I would reach out to first.
yeah.
Approachable.
So
Yeah.
Is this an internal position?
no, it's an external posting as well.
Yep.
We wanted to make sure we posted early to get the best candidates. So we'll have a good process in place.
Do you require any experience, or is it?
Not necessarily. Did you have experience coming in? You did a little.
Hardly 3 months.
I
I was just
didn't.
curious if that was part of the,
Yeah.
if that was part
Yeah,
of the
no, it's a
prerequisites, or if it was just.
Mhm.
Just a license.
Yes.
Right, licensure.
Is Dale gonna still be overseeing all IT as he is doing this interim?
He has actually stepped out of IT, and it's a lot of it is focused here in the media center. So
Okay.
he's doing instructional coaching. He's continuing to work with our first year teachers and doing instructional coaching with our teachers, along with his dean position. So I know he still dabbles in tech, and that's a huge part of who he is, but we really are trying to utilize him
Mhm.
in different ways,
Mhm.
and empowering other people who have the ability and maybe a little bit more of the time to do those things with our teachers.
So would Dale still be handling the technical side, or you have to hire somebody to replace that position too?
We have an aide actually who helps out with that quite a bit, who Dale has been working with, who should be able to take on the majority of those roles. Do you have anything specific in mind, or?
No, I was just curious.
Yeah. His role this year was actually effectiveness coach. So he was working, we were trying to fade him out of the
Mhm.
tech side really, and get him more into the instructional side. So
I'd rather see him retire.
yeah,
Sure.
and people still will say, hey, Dale, can you just look at this? Or I did it
Yeah.
today. And he said, I'm going to have to send you down to the library for that.
That's awesome. That is hilarious. That's good. That's good.
I just want to say one positive thing that I saw in the last few weeks. A few of the teachers have changed their grading policies with non-informatives to 10 or 20%.
Mhm.
And my daughter came home and was like, yes, so happy.
Hmm.
and it seems to already be making a real positive impact with the kids, and I don't know if the other teachers or academics are looking at making that change as well. But so far, it's really, really been positive.
Good.
She said she worked with the classmates, they really, they have that drive now wanting to complete the homework, and it's already a super great time.
We're good. And I think some students and parents are appreciating that, and I think there's both sides. We're asking our teachers if they want to change their grading policy from 0 to 100, or from 0 100 to 80/20, whatever the max is 80/20. That they make sure that they communicate with parents, of course, the students, the administration, and their coordinators. So hopefully all that communication has happened, and there's clear expectations around what that looks like, and we're asking them to keep some data so that we can do some good comparisons at the end of the year, and try to pinpoint what it was that made a difference, if it was the 80/20 or if there was something else that went into making that shift for student achievement. If there were some, just looking at gains, there might be, there might not be, it might be perceived but not actual. So we really want to take a look at that at the end of the year, and we've been very, very clear on the expectations for teachers if they're going that route too.
Can I ask a question on that? Just
Absolutely.
on the right-
Sure.
Just wondering, and maybe Becky, this from your curriculum standpoint, the only frustration I've heard is that you can't get more than a 3 on formatives. So you now have 20% of your grade that is automatically a 3, which can really affect your grade. So how do you answer? I'm just curious. I don't know the answer to that question. I think it's a valid concern for kids who like to get higher than 3. And 20% is pretty significant in the course of a semester. How is that kind of fair? Because you've done exactly what you're supposed to do, and you've gotten.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Do you want me to explode right now, or
No, just
No, and I'm sorry, and I don't mean to
No.
keep track, but I just
No,
don't know how to
not
answer
at
the
all.
question when that
it's not
concern
fair,
comes
and
up.
it's an absolute misconception, and it should not be happening. And so if that is happening,
It is
encourage
so,
your students to
let you know
let
which
me
class it is.
Yes, please,
Because it's so frustrating. They work so
no.
hard and they do everything they
No.
can, and then here you go.
now that
Sorry.
Here's
And
your
we-
three. Here's your 3. Yeah.
the rubric that students are given should absolutely have all 4
So if you do
areas.
everything you're supposed to do, you should be possible.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
4 that you really
No matter what you
are
do.
striving for, if that's your
Yes.
kid's goal or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's interesting because that's not. Okay.
Right.
One question. Now, this is going back, like we had this policy like 5 years ago.
2 years
We're
ago,
just
we
waiting
were
for that,
like
right?
80/20.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were at 80/20 2 years ago as a system. We went to 90/10 a year ago, and this year we were at 100/0. Now we went, flexible, tighter, tightest, and now we're pulling back again with the flexibility.
I
So
remember that.
yes, I think we are going that route. Right. Yes. So, I think our approach right now is we want to be able to be flexible, where maybe in years past we haven't been. We'd like to take the student and parent feedback and say, well, this is working for my kid, this isn't. And so, but to Becky's point, how can we keep data around that so it's not just the perception of, I believe this is happening? What are the student growth gains to show us that it's working or not? And so I think we have those mechanisms in place now, tighter more than ever, where before we couldn't really, measure it as much. We have classroom rubrics in place. We're building those benchmark assessments so we can see how kids are doing. So, but yes, to your point, total myth, misconception. It raises her blood pressure, mine too. I'm glad I'm not on camera. But that's a total myth. Total myth. So, yeah. So let us know, communicate, have the kid, to Becky's point, that student empowerment piece is so huge. So have them, say something. And then if the teacher's like looking at them like they don't know what's happening, intervene. It's part of the triangle and we need to work together. So let's hit that on the head right away. So I think I'll let you go right into the youth. Well, I'm on camera now, never mind.
Okay.
So just a couple things, and then I'll throw it back to her to end with Youth Summit, and then we'll open up to everybody. There was just two more things I wanted to touch base on. One is scheduling, really, and just kind of give the update. We're running a similar process with student schedules that we did last school year. So you probably know that your kids just got done signing up for courses. So this week we are fast and furiously looking at course selections, trying to figure out what classes are running, what classes are not running, because we need to turn in staffing reports to Human Resources by like 4 o'clock on Tuesday of next week. So why I'm telling you this, and I think the counselors told your kids this, but I want to preface it for you guys as well. It was pretty important that what your kids chose is what they're likely going to be in, assuming we can run those courses, okay? There's going to be classes, especially in elective areas, that we won't be able to run because they're low enrollment and we can't afford the staff to run them. So what happens is when your kids put down their second option or third option, that's the reason they do that. So we can then, you know, fill the courses accordingly. When we staff on Tuesday, we're staffing for what your kids said they needed and wanted right now on February 20th. So don't come to Becky in August or July or June and say, well, no, my kid wants this now, because number one, we may or may not have the staff to make that happen. And we're making decisions right now on what, you know, our students are saying they want right now. So I think parents, for the most part, were pretty good with this expectation. Last year, I was actually impressed, and so were our counselors, with the fact that they know we have to make staffing decisions dependent upon this now. So I understand that there's extreme cases. I understand that we need to make sure that we have all students meeting the graduation requirements, but we can't, in the olden days, have like 4 changes happening because my friends in choir this hour and I want them, or I want Sally as a teacher. Those days are kind of gone. And so anything you can do to help reinforce that message will hopefully place them properly up front, and we won't have that happen. But anything you can do, like I said, to help with that message, we're going to be pretty tight on that like we were last year.
Don't you think summer school information should come out then before that?
Say that again?
Don't you think summer school classes that are being offered in the summer should come out then before February 20th? For example, Molly's probably going to take Phi-Ed and something else. Well, then she would pull it from her schedule.
Oh,
we just assume that Phi-Ed's going to be offered again. So we
Yeah,
can
this
sign her
year.
up for Phi-Ed next, for Phi-Ed 10. But if there's another class that she can take when she's already here, she will, and then that'll change her schedule.
Sure. I never thought of that part of it, I guess.
I wonder, I think the counselors do a little bit of guidance about summer school.
But maybe only
But-
from the failure side, not the
Not
accelerated
from
that,
side. Yeah.
That, and then there's some classes like choir
Mhm.
that they don't even have their auditions until.
Yeah, no, we have
Okay.
those, yeah. We're aware of all that. But that's a good point to bring up, and we'll talk to them about the accelerated side of summer school. We have a pretty targeted list of the, for lack of a better word, failure, where people are at with their grades, but we don't maybe anticipate the people that are moving ahead faster. And so I'd have to ask them what part of our population that is, because that could impact. What will happen, you don't like to hear this, but the reality is what would happen is we would have higher class sizes than we would like. I mean, again, she would never be out of a course because she'll need to fill that, what would be a hole in her schedule, but our class sizes wouldn't necessarily be optimal. And so we always try again to look at that, because we're trying to keep the student teacher ratios at, you know, decent levels.
What are the levels, for example, of a class that my daughter might want to take next year, if they're going to offer it or not? What's the cutoff? Are you looking at how many students in the class?
Yeah,
We
we say what
are-
we've done, but
There are a few factors that go into play. However, we're looking right around 22
22.
23, depending on the area, but that's about what
So
it
if
is.
a class she wants doesn't get up to that, say there's only 15 kids.
Yep.
Then you won't offer that class.
Right. And in the 5 years I've been here, we've operated under about 20. So if it's been under 20, we've in a way like put them back in the hopper and said, okay, these 15 kids signed up for Jody Landish 101. We can't
Which is
run
no
it.
longer being offered anymore.
It's not being offered. Therefore,
Sorry.
put them back in the hopper. Counselors go with their second choice and put them back in the.
What is the maximum then on the other end? Because it seems like the classes that have more rigor are larger and
How big is second semester?
it's tough.
I don't know if there's
Yeah.
I don't know how the teachers do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are, it depends on the area
It
again
does.
too.
I know.
So in music and guitar class, when there are only a certain number of guitars available, we have a certain number. The max that we put in oftentimes is 30.
Well, not a flute, but the master schedule is a very strategic puzzle. And if you don't have the right number of grade level offerings per hour,
So it just is-
vertically and horizontally, it's not a neat package. It's a very complicated mess, to be very honest with you. And so that is why that happens. And so, yep. And when kids are taking AP courses and then like bands only offered this hour, and then, I mean, their selections just go from what you think is like a real big selection to like, and so then you have to fit.
Switch teachers.
Yep.
Semester.
Right. So I think, each year, no matter what, I mean, I've been here 7 years, we tweak the process and learn something new to try to make it better, but it's definitely an intricate process, scheduling 1,200 kids and staff and figuring out where everybody should go. So, yeah,
It baffles me every year. I think
how we
schools
get
have
it.
been in
Logistics of it is,
existence
like,
for how long?
Right.
Why, why
And
couldn't we
it's-
start with what we have? Well, there were a lot of things, a lot of issues. So,
Not
but
grade school, you get 36 kids in your class. You know, it was just
Yeah.
uniformly different. So
Right.
it's just circling around.
Yep, circles
And
back.
part of that, I'm from a very small community and we did not have a lot of electives. We're so lucky in this district to
Mhm.
have so many electives offered.
Mhm.
And then on the flip side of that, if there are so many that the kids are dispersed and then there aren't enough numbers to run something. So there are both sides to that.
Mhm. Mhm. So that was just my, scheduling thing. So I don't know what I want to do here.
Okay.
Becky's going to show presentation. Yeah, I'll just try to go up there.
And it's really just student notes. As I mentioned earlier, this was the third year, I believe, that we participated in the CISA One Youth Summit, and really it's just an opportunity for a group of students to be able to go and meet with other Southeastern Wisconsin students and talk about personalized learning and hear about what other students are doing. So there are representatives from North, Quest, Flight, STEM, also KM Global, some students in Oregon, IB, Reagan IB School, so just all over the place, Muskego. And so I would really like to tap these students as some leaders in our building and continue to have them talk to the people around them and see what students want and have them be a little bit of the voice until we can build it into something bigger. So I asked them some questions, and these were just some of their responses that I wanted to share with you because I think they're quite interesting. So overall, it was a full day, and they really enjoyed being there and talking to the other schools. And one of the comments that they made was really interesting, and they said, "Well, why doesn't North do this?" And they said, "What do you mean? There are people who come to North probably twice a month to see us do personalized learning." And they said, "Well, just because we have iPads doesn't mean that we do personalized learning." And so that was a huge eye opener for me. I know that's true. I absolutely know that's true. And a lot of that is talking with students about what personalized learning is. They may be experiencing it, but not necessarily realize that they're experiencing it. And they may also be in classes where they're not experiencing that. And somebody else might think, they may think they are because there's an iPad in front of them. So just some really interesting comments from them that will prompt some good conversations moving forward. A couple of things that they liked about North, the technology that we have here, which we are very lucky, and just the overall welcoming and comfortable environment. So I thought that was nice for them to say.
Wait, two things. Can I interrupt?
Yeah, go for it.
While I still have the opportunity, because I'm getting muted after this. The conference was at the Sheridan in Brookfield. So just for the kids to like go to this hotel conference center, like they were nervous and meet other kids, but it was a cool nervousness. And then Becky also had these kids come to the faculty meeting today and report out their learning to our staff. So I thought that was good too, so that, our staff can hear kind of what she's summarizing too. So
they're very, very creative when they think about what they need and what they want. And I am very excited to help them plan some of these opportunities. And they would say things like, and we had discussions around why couldn't we have one project that would hit a social studies target and an English target? And, why couldn't one assignment count for both areas? And if we're doing the same thing, if we're writing, couldn't my English teacher look at the structure, and couldn't my history teacher look at the content? I mean, and so they are articulating exactly what personalized pieces of personalized learning. So they absolutely get it. We just need to make sure that there's a structure in place for them to be able to participate in this a little bit more deeply. They had some great ideas about what they would like to see happen at North. I loved hearing them talk about seminars and workshops and building their own schedule. And as we just talked about, the nightmare of scheduling, throwing something like this in would be really interesting.
Actually, a couple of people is my
But right, yeah.
Or two at Starbucks.
But there are high schools that do this, and there are, and it can work. So just having them think about it is really interesting. And another thing that we talk about with student voice is, they have some off the wall ideas, and sometimes they may not think about the logistics of everything. But it's fun for them to say, all right, what about this if this won't work? Yeah.
Outside the box.
That's huge
Mhm.
for them at this age to be able to start looking at
Yes, I do
it
too.
and
That would be great, especially like maybe summertime.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we've talked a lot about, going post-secondary, what the differences are between freshman, sophomore classes in college and junior, senior classes in college. And oftentimes those freshman, sophomore classes are lectures at larger schools. But the skills that they'll need as juniors and seniors, they're not in lecture halls anymore. They're doing internships, they're working in collaborative groups, they're doing long-term projects. And so those are the skills, and they need a balance of all of those things. A few more things that thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
good luck, champ.
Go get them.
Yeah. They talked about a combination of more legacy or traditional style teaching, as well as blended opportunities. And, I think our students get it too. They need a balance of things. They talked about how there was something in here where the kids said that if they were finished with something, they would like an opportunity to deepen their learning instead of just sitting there. And I thought that was so eye-opening because, there are a lot of teenagers who would say, well, I'll finish my stuff, just let me sit on my iPad or do whatever I want to do. But the kids were saying, no, we want to learn more. Give us an opportunity to learn more. So I thought that was amazing. And they talked about wanting to team with teachers and parents and make some plans for how this could become a reality, even more of a reality for them. So
You didn't tell them to say that?
I did not, no.
I like the
Maybe
maybe.
some parents.
Not our own.
Somebody's
Yeah.
And maybe, not mine, but maybe something.
Yeah, so maybe this will be my stamp on that.
Is this the same conference that they do every year, and this year it was just personalized learning?
It's always
Season-
personalized learning.
The
The Youth Summit is, this one
yeah.
is. CISA does sponsor quite a few other things.
There's
but-
always the one with the students at Sheridan
I bet you're thinking of the same one.
that Moore did last year.
She went last year, right? Didn't she? Was she in that group?
Uh,
You probably don't want any seniors because they're
Well, we were a
They're
little
done.
bit strategic this year in who we brought
We were.
freshmen and sophomores. Right, I mean, if you bring a senior now, what, I mean,
you're not going to do you any good.
not for very long, right?
So many things.
So, but yeah, cool.
so it was fun.
That's, I don't know, that's all we had on our,
What are some
Yeah.
examples of your most successful personalized learning projects or accomplishments that students have made? I mean, I guess I don't.
that's a good question. I think that personalized learning is like so huge.
Right.
It's like saying the United States of America. So there are elements in terms of, I guess, to me, what sticks out in my mind is the anytime, anywhere learning. Okay, like 3 years ago in this school, you, without access to technology and Blackboard and accessible curriculum, via the internet, etc., your learning happened when school started and when school ended, and that's it. So anywhere, anytime learning perpetuates that you're a continuous learner. And so you can learn beyond the bells of a school system. So to me, that's one aspect of personalized learning that I think we've done well. We've expanded the pipeline, expanded the breadth of opportunity for our students. What we started this year is the Google site for every kid. Every kid in their academic excellence sessions is creating a Google site where they are starting to build their learner profile. And so much about personalized learning is building who you are as a learner. Like, how do you learn? Do you need visuals? Do you like kinesthetic? Are you an auditory? So learning about how they learn and that whole metacognition piece, I think one of the parents brought up, is so huge. They have to start realizing what works for them. Might work for me, might not work for Becky. And so building that piece is another piece of personalized learning. I think the flexible learning spaces. So the space and place in which you learn. We know kids don't learn all at the same pace. And so when I'm done with my learning, am I really done? Can I explore the deeper learning? If I haven't met proficiencies, how can I get help in maybe a flexible learning space where maybe some kids don't have to come to class that day because they've met proficiencies? They can go to the library and work on another course where I need extra help, so therefore I need to report and meet with my teacher. So just, again, those flexible options. I think you'll be hearing more about the honeycomb from CISA 1. I mean, there's basically like 20 personalized learning elements that sort of encompass student-centered learning. And so all the pieces, I don't know that will ever arrive in our lifetime, but it's basically building that whole child in terms of learner profile, reaching their academic success, and to Becky's point, what works for each student, not every or all. So, good question.
Would you be pretty confident that your staff, teachers in the building are pro personalized learning?
I think the components in general, yes, because it's at the core of why they became a teacher. They don't necessarily argue with the components at the core because they morally believe in all those things for kids. I think when the rubber meets the road and the reality of implementing it, it becomes hard. And so that's where, if you get any pushback, it's mostly because of the structures and sort of the traditions that we have in place over 100 years of school. They know it's best for kids. They can't argue. They're like, I totally get this. Yeah, it's meeting each kid's needs. But then in the
How do
8
you
to,
do- right.
how do you do it?
But are there
Absolutely.
resources for them, you know?
Yeah.
To help them as well, because I could not imagine trying to do that for group kids.
Right,
You know, even though you know each and every one of those kids learns differently.
right.
Um,
That-
you know, it's nice to
yeah.
know that there's support for staff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as well as the students.
And I'll let Becky, I think that's why we'll continue to see some flexible models, some flexible staffing, some night classes. I mean, things I think have to evolve in education because of that. We can't use the factory model of 8 to 3 and personalized learning for kids. So we're operating under what we know is best for kids, again, under a traditional construct of why we sent kids to school, and that was to go work in the factory. So we have to have the system catch up to where our kids are and how we need to meet their needs. So
A huge part of personalized learning is also the student voice and choice, and there has to be time in the day to be able to hear that and adjust for that in a school day. So conferring is so important. But you know, when I'm conferring with one student,
right.
what are my other 29 doing?
Right.
And so just the planning component and the non-traditional structures are going to have to evolve in order to be able to address that. You know, I can't, as an English teacher, you know, as I was, teach the same lesson to my kids every day and expect everyone to just follow along at the pace that I want them to go, because I'm the boss and that's what I want to happen. So, you know, there are a lot of pedagogical changes that need to occur, and we've been working on it for years. And we continue. Yeah, we continue to work at it. It's difficult.
One of your students had a great idea for some sort of office hours.
Mm-hmm.
Outside each door, each classroom right now, you have the name where they went to school, what they teach,
Mm-hmm.
and their office hours also be listed on that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Or on the staff directory, could they be listed? So
I don't know that we have office hours.
we have
I know,
And
I
so,
know,
I mean,
yeah, that they should.
right, but yeah, absolutely. I think that goes with that flexible, like, do teachers have to work 8 to 3? What if they work 9 to 5 in their office hour? Right, and so it's that whole conversation about when do kids need access to you besides, you know, email 24/7, and how does that look? So,
you can't always explain something over email.
No,
And
right.
30 kids in the class.
Yeah.
for
I can
sure.
tell you that teachers want it too, and
Yeah.
we've been talking about how can we use the time in our day to creatively allow for that to happen. So
So-
we have a couple of ideas, but
Why don't
yeah,
you say what one of them is?
okay.
'Cause everyone listening, we need your support. No.
We have, for example, we have the AE schedule once a month. All right, what would happen
Yeah.
if we had the AE schedule every Monday, which would free up an hour every Monday for every teacher, and then maybe piggyback some of that on our AO time in the morning and have some of that time available as office hours, some of that time for interventions. And we know that our students do need some interventions. There are some students who struggle, some students who need some foundational skills, and we need to continue to provide that. We also have some intervention processes in place that aren't necessarily, we have not differentiated our interventions. So for instance, Achieve 3000 doesn't work for every student. What can we do to still give the student an intervention that he or she needs outside of that program? Achieve 3000, it's a reading program that we use for interventions in the morning during AO sometimes, all the time. Any students who is in a reading intervention in the morning is on using Achieve 3000, which is a reading program. It's a research-based reading program that that works when it's used well.
Then shouldn't everybody be doing that?
Yes.
I mean, when you go to college, you're having to read.
Right. And there are other ways to go about getting students that intervention. Does it have to be that? Could we do something else? Could we do inquiry-based reading guided by an instructor? If we combined some of these things and offered some different opportunities for students to get the interventions that they need, it might free up a couple of other students to be able to have some office hours during certain days. So just playing with that time a little bit, and thinking about how we can most effectively use the expertise in the building, because I can tell you the teachers are wanting that as well, and the students are wanting it. So we need to figure out how to make that happen.
So like what if we moved AO from 7:35 to third hour?
Third hour. That's what they wanted.
So then every kid has access. Interventions can be accessible. AP sessions can be accessible. Office hours can be accessible. Band can be, like, everyone's accessible. So that might be coming to a theater soon near you, I think.
And another question I have, which is not being asked for me, let's just pretend I'm going to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Ryan asked this when he teaches his AP 12 English class. It's fabulous because he checks in with these kids all summer, and they don't lose that reading then because he has different due dates. throughout the summer.
Checkpoints. Yeah.
What about the other English teachers trying to get those kids to keep reading all summer? What sort of incentive?
Yeah. No.
But it's just fabulous. I mean, can you ask? Can the teachers do that, or is that contract driven?
I mean, yeah, probably. But I mean, that's AP, and a lot of our AP teachers do that. It's sort of like the summer expectation with the weighted credit and whole thing. So that's like part of the advanced placement culture. For our English 10 teacher to say, hey, I want to keep going with you. I mean, that's breaking down sort of that mental model of school is from 8 to 3 and ends on June 13th, and like, don't talk to me till September 1st kind of thing. I mean, but I'm with you.
There's always that 1 month or two where they have to play catch up again.
I
Their
know.
brain's going
Right.
on,
And our teachers have had conversations about almost like those trimesters then again too. Like, why do kids have to have that like whole huge hiatus? Is there benefit in like longer terms and 2 or 3 weeks off several months? And yeah,
and just piggybacking on, this is Better Lab's question of summer homework. What about, like, if you're going to be a sophomore, have the sophomore teacher tell the kids what they're going to be doing that next year, and maybe they can just continue to read. Like, To Kill a Mockingbird, you should read just once in your life. You should read it 3 times.
Yep. I love that idea. I think it goes to Becky's point of like conferring with kids and meeting. We talked a lot about having sort of those personal conferences with kids to say, okay, if we know what their schedule is going to be next year, is there value instead of on September 1st, them going through that schedule saying, okay, on June 9th, one of the last days, this is your schedule and these are your teachers for next year, and here's the preview. Yeah, I mean, there's why can't we do that? That's one of the things I always asked, and I will always do in my life. Like, why do we do that that way? Why do we need to do that way? It's that whole 2-year-old mindset, which I'm good at. Like, why? I don't know why.
Just kids that are involved in football or
Oh yeah,
swimming or band or whatever.
Yeah.
You could,
and knowing that maybe there's 40% they're like, I don't want to know. Like, don't tell me until September.
The other
But-
side of the coin is the kids who work full time all summer,
Yeah,
which is my family.
Yeah.
And they are not looking for a whole lot of homework.
Right.
They are
Right.
mentally drained by 5
Right.
o'clock at night from their busy day.
but that's
and
again the
so- but it's
personal
an option, and
But,
so it should be
option.
as a choice.
option.
No, but
No.
it's just not every kid wants to. I mean, I think there's
No.
2 sides to the coin.
Right.
So we have to be
There's
able
3
to
sides to every
personalize
coin.
it, I think. Yeah.
So
When it's still spinning.
yes.
I think that we're so far ahead in scheduling this year. We're months. And so that is going to be a huge benefit going into the summer with the students having their schedule in their hands. so that when they come back in the fall, we're still not switching things around. I'm sure all of you have gone through an experience where, oh, that's good. So, you know, where something gets, but things should be set, ready to go, where those relationships can start. If they, you know, this teachers should have their rosters going into the summer.
Yeah,
So that'll be helpful in just opening up a relationship in case there's a desire to work, you know, to get the reading list or something like that.
we can get you some books.
Yeah, there's a few around.
Oh, you might want to read it too. So this is, yeah, I mean, your time kind of, we only give you 10 minutes, so it's like, anything popping in the subdivisions or at church or anything we need to know about? Talk of the town? Yeah,
Reception conferences.
sure.
I think the teachers were, so we're on our third in North.
Yeah.
And I would say the teachers were outstanding in preparing for conferences.
Awesome.
The computer to support them, maybe some papers in a folder,
Okay.
but energetic. Answer the questions well. We understand probably our best.
From fall?
Yeah, no, fall. I mean, I
Good.
can look at it. But
Yeah, we have one coming up on
March 9th.
March 9th.
we lost some good teachers, but
Mm-hmm.
they were all brand new. We never
Wow.
talked to them.
Right.
Well, one.
Okay. Well, it's good
But
feedback.
we were really, yeah, both my and my husband too, which he's very particular.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good feedback. 'Cause we'll make sure we
Can you
do
look
that.
at the conference schedules, because Butler and North and there's like the same night as kids, like sometimes again. I mean, this happens, one year
We
we had
tell
middle
them
school, grade school,
every-
and high school all had them on the same night. I mean, is there any sort of,
I will take full responsibility for that. I told the team to look and talk to our team, so something didn't happen. Here's the thing. This is what
you can.
This
you
is
can't
what
keep
kills
one
me.
in the 3 hours.
there was a shared doc. I'm getting mad. Chris Hedstrom, our HR director, put a shared document out for that very reason. We put our conferences on there. I'm not going to play the blame game, but
No, it's just
that-
curious if anybody looks, because.
so
it's-
yes,
yeah.
they do. And principals or whoever puts that in are supposed to look at that.
The
So
shared document.
yes.
That's what it's there.
Yes. And not to schedule, because every year we get a comment like that, and I'm really shocked actually that happened. So somebody missed it. Somebody completely missed it.
We're planning on conferences in the field house again. Is that the format that you all prefer?
That was the
Yeah.
best part.
Yes. Yep. That's what we're hearing.
The classroom.
Okay. Terrible.
Do not make me go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
You knew exactly where to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
A timer by each test would be the
Yeah.
They would tell, our teachers would like that too, actually.
It would be awesome if there's seriously like a little timer that just said you get 7 minutes or whatever.
You know what? They have their iPads with the
I know, we were
timer.
saying, we were like, wish they would put that little, you could.
Maybe we'll talk about that, because, I mean, you don't want to be rude,
You know,
but
you know,
when
and
the
if-
line
If
is
you need more
like,
time than that, then it's probably time to make a different type
Yep.
of appointment.
we can talk about that with them again and just have our teachers feel empowered to be able to keep that timer there and say, you know, hey, I'd love to talk to you. Let's
And some of them
extend this
we're-
more. And
Or very verbal, but others.
yeah,
they
but
can't
others,
talk.
yeah.
And it's not always their fault, they can make sure.
And they don't
No.
want to
They
tell
don't
the
wanna be
Well,
weird.
that's the
There's-
thing.
yeah,
How do
exactly.
you,
It's
you know,
nothing-
and some people don't take a breath, so you can't even like say, oh, by the way, you kind of like wait.
Could you post
So-
something on the door? I mean, did you post the time, but just ever posted maybe in a few spots, parents?
Well, these are in the field house.
Yeah.
So, oh, at
Well,
the
I don't-
desk, you mean,
Well,
or the
maybe in
signs?
different places, like when you walk in.
So you know it's.
Sure.
Right, just say.
You don't think it's your family. Yes, I just.
When you walk in.
Not everyone follows the rules.
Right
though.
there, 5 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So you
So-
put it with, like you have science, this is Yeah, you know. but
I
Right.
each of those as well.
I've always wondered too, if you have the parents facing the other parents that are waiting, as opposed to my back's always to the parents that are behind me in line.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't
So
always
have the
know.
line go behind the teacher.
Decide how long it is.
Oh, that's
I mean,
funny.
just because then if you know there's a
That's
line
not
of
the
10,
Right,
plus
right.
you know, because sometimes I'll sit down and there's no one behind me, and I'm
Right.
done, and oh my gosh,
Next
I
thing
didn't
you know,
there was a couple
sure,
waiting. So
sure. Yeah, we
Going through that setup in my mind.
I don't know
I
if you can do it.
I know.
It'd be even more confidential because it would be the teacher's back to the other parents.
The lines reading their iPad and all the grades your kid has.
Oh, maybe.
Like we can see
Yeah,
that. I know, I have to resort to these now.
right, I know, I can't even see like,
I only know that because I probably went over a few times, and if I
sure,
knew that my neighbor was.
right, right. I'm gonna cut this off and then we'll go off camera. Thanks, everybody. Peace out, go North Stars.